everyone. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another episode of Lair. Hope you had a great 2 weeks. I believe it was 2 weeks since the last time we had our session. I told you this is not by surprise, but anyway, hope you are doing fine. Hope everyone's safe. Hope you're getting a little bit of you're enjoying a little bit of the good weather if you're in a place with good weather. If not, it's too bad, I guess. But if that's the case, hope you're doing fine. Once again, thank you for all the messages supporting the channel. I believe, well, not that I believe, but I hope that I will have some other ways soon that you guys can support if you want to. We'll see when that happens, but in any case, thank you once again for all the messages and all the comments and suggestions and all that stuff. So thank you once again. I'm doing this for you, so if it wasn't for this good feedback, probably this wouldn't be existing anymore. So this, I believe today is episode 15, so more or less 15 weeks. A little bit more because we had a couple of shows in which we waited a couple of weeks in between, but around 15 weeks, so pretty good. We'll see. Well, I'm not saying that I want to end this by any means, but good run, better than I thought. So thank you once again. Let's start with the usual pandemic update. So more and more we see more spikes in cases. Actually, there's a second wave, considered the second wave in both Spain and South Korea. South Korea, I think it was today that I read that had the most cases since March or something like that. And this was a country that was doing pretty good with like a lot of testing and all that stuff. In any case, yeah, things are not looking too good, and apparently this is already considered a second wave. What am I to say? I've been saying this for the past couple of weeks or so, that I think only by winter that's when we can see a second wave, or that, at least in my mind. But again, what am I to say? If they say that it's a second wave, I take, of course I take the word for it. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, so if this is the beginning of the second wave, it's not good news by any means, but it's getting here sooner than anticipated. So hopefully everything is going to be all right. And I believe that now countries, because they had this first experience, the experience with the first wave, I think they will react quicker. This is already what's happening in New Zealand, I believe. They saw I think it was a very contained kind of new cases, contained in terms of geography wise, but they decided to impose the lockdown again. So not the best of news, but hopefully now the countries will react faster and we won't have the same level of human destruction as we've seen before. Good news for my country, Portugal is not blacklisted anymore in the UK. I think this was a decision taken either today or yesterday. So people that are now on holidays in Portugal, they can go back with no mandatory quarantine, which is good for both sides, I guess. But at the same time that Portugal is out of the blacklist, now Croatia, Austria, and Trinidad and Tobago are in the list. So again, I guess that's more or less, if this is what they're deciding. Of course, we're going to see more and more countries be in the blacklist, because as soon as you lift the lockdown, of course the cases will go up, and if that's the measure, which I understand why, but if that's the measure to put whether put or not put countries in the blacklist, I think that's kind of expected to happen more and more. But yeah, so 1 out, 3 in. We'll see if this will change. In terms of VFX, things are pretty much the same all around the world. I believe there's not much news, unfortunately, but we have one good news, a piece of good news, I would say, which is Rise VFX opened in London, or they're about to open. I believe this was a they wanted to do it sooner. I don't know what was the reason they couldn't do it sooner, but it's a new player in the market, which is always, in my book, it's always a good thing. So congrats to my ex-colleague Lair for pulling that. She's working now as a managing director over there, and she was one of the people like pushing this forward. So congrats, Lair. She might be a guest on the show one of these days. We'll see. We'll see if I can make it happen or not. But yeah, that's a good thing. So of all the things that it's happening, you know, the fact that there's a new player in the market in London, I think it's a positive thing, and competition, in my book, is always a good thing as well. So technical highlight of the week. I've selected something that is not from this week at all, but I have this huge list of things that I find interesting, and I always save them. And then once in a while, I go there and check, because, you know, most of them, or not most of them, but a lot of them are not new at all. So I will forget them, of course. So what I'm talking about is a interactive guide regarding digital photography. And it's from a guy called Mark Lavoie. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'm sorry if it's not, but I believe it is. Which was or is Professor Emeritus of Computer Science at Stanford University, and was or is a principal engineer at Google. So it's pretty cool. I'll be posting the book, the link, in the description and on Discord channel as well. If you're not on our Discord channel, make sure you go there, because again, I always say this, but there are some sort of communications that I always choose that channel as the primary one, because it's easier. The channel has been, the server has been growing quite a lot, but if you're not in it, there's a link either through our bot or through I believe it's on the comments as well already on this video, on this live session. So make sure you click there and subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. And that's it. But this book is pretty cool. It's not a book, well, they call it book, I believe, but it's more about like an interactive kind of site that not only explores the photography part of things, the analog part, but also the digital part, with some cool interactive graphics. Pretty cool. Explains things from the beginning of color science and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. So, as some people have been asking, we're gonna have, but before I get to that, let's see who's in the house. Okay, so we have hello everyone. We have the usual suspects, but not only. Hello Amaro, hello Sabine, hello Carlos, Sarang, Mazarul. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your names correctly, but even though I might be mistaken in the way that I'm pronouncing your names, I've seen your names before, so you are the usual suspects that I'm talking about. So welcome once again. And as I was saying, some people asked for a new tech challenge, which I always think it's a positive thing, because, you know, it seems like people want to engage with something new. So we're gonna have that today. And I'm gonna open that segment right now. But before I do that, let me just remind everyone, or tell the people that are just seeing this segment for the first time. So the premise here is for you to come up with something similar on your own, with only Nuke native nodes, no plugins allowed. And then the winner, I'm going to pick up the winner, which is going to be based, of course, on the results and also on the speed of, you know, who comes to the same solution or something similar first. Of course, that will count as well. And then the winner will be here with me in one of these next sessions. So that's the price that I have. Could be better, I know. Well, it will be better with time. It will be better with time. But at the moment, this is what we have, and this is all, you know, about like sharing with the community. This is all. That's what the channel is all about. All this show is all about. So it's good to have that interaction with some of you as well. So let's open the tech challenge this week, and we're gonna talk. I'm gonna talk about it in just a while. All right. See you in a second. Okay, so this tech challenge, as you can see, it's basically you have to come up with a way of doing a dispill and choosing the color of the dispill to be the one that you choose from the foreground element. This is a part that I'm going to talk about in just a second, what you guys are seeing at the moment. But the first goal is you can pick up any part of the, we're going to see it now, you can pick up, or you should pick up any part of the picture, and the color of the background will change without affecting the foreground one. Okay, so this is something that all of you will be able, or will have the knowledge on how to do it. There's no fancy things at all. It's all, you know, based on normal math. I'm not talking about expressions or anything like that. It's just pure simple notes. It's just a way of thinking about things that will do the trick. So that's one of the things, one of the features. The other feature, which is the one that we're seeing now, and I'm gonna let it roll once again, is instead of only picking the color, you have to come up with a solution that will give you the automatic color based on the proximity to the edge. Okay, so we're gonna talk, you're gonna see it in just a while. So this is now the picking part. So you can see that different parts will produce different colors, and now this is the automatic part. Okay, so you cannot destroy any edges. Okay, it's the same edges as before. It's just the color that is gonna be closer to the color of the edge where it matters. Okay, so I believe that you can already see the advantages of using something like this. It's going to be much easier for you to do a good dispill, although there's several different methods. I'm not saying that this is the ultimate one. I'm just saying that this is another one, and I believe that you can see the advantages on this one as well. So again, no plugins, only native nodes. I'm already giving you a tip that it's something simple. Well, although you can come up with something more complicated, it's up to you. But by now you should, I think you know that I'm a fan of simple is good. That's one of my mottos. So simple things, there's not even expressions or anything like that, like super complicated. It's only native nodes. It's all about merges more than anything else. So just think about this. There's no plugins, not even on the very base start of the spill. Okay, only nuke native nodes. So these are the rules. So hopefully you will get the solution soon, and the winner, it's gonna be here with me as we did it on one of the previous ones. Actually, the previous one was the first one, so this will be our second time that we're gonna do this challenge. And it's time now for our guest. We're gonna have a great conversation with someone that I've met recently, that got in touch with me via Skype or something like that, I believe. But we worked together recently. And it's with great pleasure that I have him on the show, and we're gonna talk with him in just 1 second. See you in 2 seconds. Hey Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing, man? I forgot to put my My headphones. Fuck, you know. Wait a second. Wait a second.
Cool.
Now I can. Yeah. Now I can hear you. Ah, there you go. Now I can hear you. How you doing,
Amazing.
man?
I'm doing very good. How's it going, Pedro?
All good. All good. All good. You can see
Nice,
that
nice.
you by looking at your background. You've been very busy constructing things, right?
Yeah, I'm actually staying with my family at the moment, and my mum runs a like ink cartridge business.
Ah,
So
cool.
if you need an ink cartridge, I'm your guy.
Ah, so there you go.
Yeah,
Guys, you already know where to find it. You speak
exactly.
with Chris and that's it.
I'll hook you up. I'll get you a good deal.
But thank you
Yeah.
for coming in, man.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
As I said before, I worked with Chris fairly recently
Yeah.
at DNAG, and he approached me I believe a few weeks ago, congratulating the show and saying that basically offering yourself to come on the show. And I said, yeah, of course. And I actually already had your name, believe it or not, I had your name already on the list. I didn't say this before, but I did. I have a huge list of people. We'll see if I can go through all of them. Say again?
It's exciting to hear that. Yeah, you've got loads of people planned.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I try to plan them like a month in advance. Sometimes it's not possible, and plus we are living a very special moment in our lives. So things can go not as planned, but that's what I'm aiming for. We'll see when I can bring everyone, if I can. But we have you here today. Thank you once again. Do you want to present yourself to the audience before we?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm Chris Fryer. I'm a digital compositor at Jellyfish Pictures at the moment. But I've worked all kinds of places. I've worked at ILM, DNEG with Pedro. I did a short stint at Blue Zoo, short stint at Third Floor, and One of Us as well, actually. I was there years ago.
Which I believe that's where you started, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a weird one how that happened, actually. FMX, the conference in Germany.
Yep.
Yeah, I flew out there and met one of their recruiters and asked if they were hiring, and he said no, and I said, do you have anything at all? This is when I was in like my first year at uni as well. And he said, we have this data job, and I said, if I do that, can I work on the shows? He was like, I'm sure we can figure it out. Yeah, that's my first time on shows, actually.
You see, guys, that's how you enter in the industry. You bug people until they say yes, and that's it.
The rest will figure itself out.
Yeah, exactly. But correct me if I'm wrong. You were a student of one of our previous guests, Josh Parks, right?
Yeah, I know Josh.
Yeah. But he was he was your teacher, or he lectured at your university or something?
Yeah, he does a lot of like lecturing, visiting lecturing and stuff, and he came in quite a few times over the course of that.
Ah, okay, cool. Because I believe that when I was speaking with him, you were watching the show at that time, and he mentioned something, and I was like, "Did I hear that right?" So I'm confirming that with you. Cool. It's funny that this is definitely a small industry, so we all know each other at some point. If we don't know each other as a starting point, there's definitely someone that we know in common. That's always what happens.
2 degrees of separation and
no matter where you're in the world, by the way, even if you go to, say, for example, Australia, which is really far away, of course, I'm sure you'll find people that you know. I'm sure. As I was saying, so after you graduating, and correct me if I'm wrong on this story, you started your career at One of Us as a render wrangler, right?
Actually, no.
Is it not?
So yeah, I started at One of Us, but that was I did that job between first and second year of uni, actually.
Ah, okay. So you're still studying. Ah, cool. Good for you.
Yeah, I've been living like a double life recently, and
not easy, right?
Oh my god, no. I what do you call it? When I was at Third Floor, I was delivering Maleficent 2 the same week I was delivering my final major project at uni.
Ah, so at the third floor you were also studying then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good for you, man. Yeah, that's good. I've been there not in VFX, but when I was finishing my degree in engineering, I started working a little bit before I graduated, and then I wanted to progress with my studies. Go figure. I don't know why, because I didn't like it that much, to be honest. But it's one of those things. So I wanted to progress with that, still working. at that time already graduated, but I wanted to continue that, still working at the same time, and it was like mental, honestly, and then I quit.
Imagine.
Basically, yeah. So it's really hard. So I totally understand what you're saying. So when you started, even though you were still at uni, so I guess
Yeah.
you know, it was also, you faced that as a great opportunity more than anything
Yeah.
else, right? But because it's not an artistic kind of you know, role that
Yeah.
you took at that time, how was your experience?
Yeah, it was pretty mixed actually because I was at the time, you know, I was okay at the artistic side, but the tech side, it was a massive learning thing for me. Definitely, they asked me about the position because I had a lot of like Python tools and stuff in my showreel at the time, and then
Good for
yeah, while I
you.
was there, it was like with data and file transfers and stuff, there is sometimes quite a bit of downtime, and that was when I would pester a lot to do something.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it sort of went from there. I ended up getting a couple comp shots on Jurassic World, the second one, while I
Oh,
was there,
cool.
because because I was in charge of all the or not in charge, but because I was responsible for a lot of the file transfers. Whenever shots would come in, I would like practice on them in my downtime. And yeah, a suit walked behind me one day and asked me what I was doing, and he was like, "I'd approve this. Do you want the shot?" And I was like, "Okay." So yeah,
Cool.
that was my sort of kickstart, I guess.
So I guess it was like a very good experience after all, right? Even
Yeah,
though
yeah,
it started
definitely.
not being artistic at all, but you quickly moved to something that you know, was definitely what you wanted, which was working
Exactly.
as a compositor, right? And after that, I think you had like a couple of more experiences after that, and then you end up at ILM as a roto paint artist, correct?
Yeah, so the way I went into that one was they have a graduate scheme called the Jedi Academy, and
Okay.
the way that works is that there's like an application process, and they bring you in for a day, and it's like some team building stuff, interviews, stuff like that, and then out of all the people that applied, they picked nine of us for various different departments.
Oh, okay, cool. So
Yeah,
you end up staying there for a while,
yeah, I was there for about 6 months, I think. Yeah,
which is great because, as I said, once you know, as soon as you started on one of us, you were still in school basically,
yeah,
and then you went to the third floor. You were still in school, but you were working. So that's a great opportunity that a lot of people don't have. But
yeah,
although a lot of people might not have, I think it's also important to refer that even though you had that opportunity, it's because you know, you fought for it, and not only before but during, to progress to the next level, right? So
yeah,
what would be your advice? Because a lot of people, especially younger guys,
yeah,
tend to think that, you know, the more experienced people, they have this experience or they have these opportunities. No, I'm not saying that all the people think like that, all the younger guys, but some of them do. Like it's because you know this person, it's because you know that person, it's because you know external factors. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that's why I wanted to address this situation, because yes, you had the opportunity, but if you didn't, you know, fight for it while you were on the job, probably you would stay in those type of roles
yeah.
forever, right?
No,
And this happens quite a lot, and people see themselves like tangled up in these kind of roles that they don't really want, and they don't know how to progress to other things. Of course, there's also opportunities that you know, which is the luck part, but you know, it takes a lot of effort to get that luck presented to you. So what would be your advice for maybe some colleagues of yours that are still on those roles?
So yeah, I mean, when I was at uni, the reason I ended up with so many weird jobs that I managed to like weasel my way into is I would see something and think, that sounds like a really cool role. I'd love to do that. Like the third floor job, I think they posted on LinkedIn on a Wednesday and said, we need someone to come in tomorrow and
Oh wow.
basically work 2 weeks straight, deliver a show with us. And I applied, and then when they offered it to me, I was like, I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to figure it out later as to how to actually
There you go.
balance people. And it turns out the trick was to not sleep for 2 weeks. But
It's 2 weeks of your life, right?
yeah, plus, I mean, the train was like 40 minutes, so have a nap then to fill in the gap or something. And yeah, and another thing I try and stop myself from doing is like telling myself no when it comes to opportunities sometimes. Like, I'll see something and think, I'm probably not the person they're interested in for this, but I'm going to apply anyway because it's their job to find me. And then sometimes they don't. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And so, yeah, sort of stuff like that happens.
Yeah, but I think it's an important thing to refer that, guys, if you see yourselves in situations or positions that's not the position that you aspire to, keep bugging people, keep applying, keep, just ask and be a pain in the ass, because things will things will things will happen for you. That's how everything works. Yes, it's important to have practice, for lack of a better word, to networking is important. That's basically what I'm saying. But that's not what you can know everyone in the industry, but and the opportunities can come up because of that. But if you're not prepared, and I've been saying this like many times, if you're not prepared, those opportunities will just pass by, and you'll not take them because you're not prepared. So if you're not happy, keep bugging people. And Chris is actually, as we just discussed, a great example of that. That even though he started relatively recently, not so recently these days, but you've been really proactive building your knowledge nevertheless, and you already had some of that knowledge beforehand when you were in uni, and it turns out that's what took. That's what it took. At least it helped to be picked by one of these companies to start a job. You just mentioned Python. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, Python is something that I think scares a lot of people unnecessarily. My only exposure to Python when I got the job at one of us was I did the Code Academy Python course, and then I just read a lot of the Foundry documentation,
which is really confusing, isn't it?
Enormously, yeah. It would literally be like recolor node, Python nuke, and then do that.
And there's like really 10 ways of doing the same thing, and for someone that was starting out, it's very confusing. Yes,
can be. It was a lot of like finding something that worked, and then I would like manually write it out like line per line, and I wouldn't like actually use it unless I knew what was happening, and that was a lot of the foundation for me. And then but I mean, it has like really weird roll-on effects. Like as an exercise in figuring things out, I wrote a script that would go from the top to bottom of your node graph and recolor all your backdrops like a full rainbow.
There you go.
And the code from that is what I've put in all my chromatic aberration stuff now, including the blink stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird how much stuff like that will carry over.
And I want to talk with you about that as well. We have a message from one of our viewers, Amaro, saying, "Thanks for the tips about Python." Amaro actually got in touch with me recently, asking me how to study Python. What will be the
Code Academy thing? 100%.
What's that? Sorry.
That Code Academy thing, 100%. Because I've had a lot of people have spoke to me, like my peers during uni and stuff would say, "Where do you get started with Python?" And everyone else has had a really good experience with the Code Academy course as well, which I think is free. So
I'm not sure if it's free or not. I believe when I was starting out with Python many years ago, I'm not sure if Code Academy existed by then. Maybe it did. But I also found it like really confusing. So guys, don't get. I mean, you will get frustrated, but just keep doing it, and whether it's books, whether it's videos, whether it's Code Academy, whether it's YouTube, whether it's whatever, you choose whatever works best for you. It's your choice. Stick with one choice, because it's very easy for you to, this is not working for me, I'm going to take a look at the different source, and then you keep doing this, and then if you keep doing this, you're going to get lost very easily because you don't stick with one. So stick with one that you think works for you, and just progress from there. It's going to be a bit difficult, I'm not going to lie, and Chris again is another proof of that. One thing is the syntax of the language, all right, which is something that you will learn in places like Code Academy, but Code Academy will not teach anything about VFX. So that's a different.
Half of it is the language, and then the other half is knowing how to think computer, which is something I found. It's like, I know how I, a human being, would manually do this. How do I tell Nuke to do it? And especially when loads of different nodes have loads of different, like I was making something for spline warp, controlling individual splines and pins, and the way spline warp stores its splines is completely different to everything else in Nuke. So there's a lot of
there's a lot of things like that in Nuke. A lot of them. A lot of them. There's someone saying, Luciana saying, Ben McEwen have a very nice course. Yes, we already had Ben in our show. He mentioned that. I believe one of our viewers is taking that course. I believe Sabine. Sabine, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're taking that course. This is, if you want to ask Sabine more about that, please go ahead. It's me saying this. So I'm not sure if Sabine will take the answer. I'm sure she will. Small tip, if you are starting now with Python, go directly to Python 3 since Nuke is going to switch to that very soon. Yes, true. And also, just another thing regarding updates. If you into PyQt and PySide and all that stuff, there's also an update that Nuke took, not this last release, I believe 2 releases before. So your code will break on PyQt and PySide if you don't do the necessary changes, which is a pain in the ass. But but yeah. So definitely Python, it's actually something very useful, and it will put you on the radar, I would say. It did great things for me. That's all I can say, and apparently for Chris as well, because that's what it took for him to be picked up, or at least to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah. I also think it's sometimes I feel like when it comes to like comparing like shot for shot or showreel for showreel, it can be a bit subjective, which artistically is better. And so if in my head I would always think like if I've got a similar showreel to someone else, but I've got like the Python box ticked as well, that would help me out, and I think it did quite a lot. Yeah.
So I mean, as I said, it's gonna take a while for you to be comfortable with it. This is exactly what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna, this is like full disclosure. It can happen, especially if you don't have like someone on your side that will guide you, or if you don't taking a course that will guide you as well. This can be very, very frustrating, but there's only one trick, which is keep doing it and don't lose sight of what you're doing and why you're doing it. Even though in the beginning you might not even know why you're doing it, but you will soon. You will soon. So actually, because of all of this that we're talking about, and you just mentioned one of your tools, I believe you're referring to Spectralize, right?
Yeah, Spectralize, and then the redux of that is Chromatic Link, which I brought out a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
This says it suffered like a very recent revamped version.
Exactly.
Blink script, which is I applaud you for that. You're touching in Blink script in such early stages of your career. It's a great thing. But actually, once before you came into my team, I already knew who you were. I didn't tell you this before. I don't think.
Cool.
And the reason why I knew you, I didn't know you personally, but I knew your name. And again, that's exactly why. It's because for some reason I stumbled in your website, and I saw, I believe at that time, and this was maybe a couple of years before or something. Maybe. I stumbled in your website, and I saw, I believe at that time was Spectralize. With some demos and all that stuff, and I was like, pretty cool, and then once I heard your name that you were gonna join my team, I was like, I think I know this guy. And then I think we briefly discussed that, if I remember correctly. So do you want to, because this is the second or third time that we're talking about the same tool and talking about Blink script, talking about Python, you're talking about that's actually what made you progress with Python at that time, doing something very silly like grading all the nodes. But that's but well, listen, but that's an exercise like any other, right?
Yeah.
But do you wanna explain to us the gist of what we're talking about with Spectralize tool that you wrote?
So yeah, chromatic aberration is something that I think people really like the look of, and looks really cool. And I think a lot of people just split red, green, blue, scale them out differently, and leave it there. And I think I was watching a movie once where they had like put some like it was like an old recording from like a courtroom, and then they'd inserted some extra footage. And compared to the real footage and the old footage, it was like you could see the actual chromab had the full spectrum in, and then their spectrum was just the colors in it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, what process is it that gives those individual subsets? And then when I was working on my final project at uni, a buddy of mine who became my housemate said, Chris, do you have a cool way to make my turnarounds look pretty? And I was like, I wonder if I do. And then, yeah, basically the way it works is it takes two ST maps and will iterate between the two of them. And the original version of it was using subframe information and a time blur to iterate between that. And the new version uses a blink script to loop through. Yeah, and one of the benefits of it using an ST map compared to just scaling is you can plug your lens distort stuff from layout in, and it will be sort of accurate to the plate. Was always my logic.
Mm-hmm. And also very, very light.
It is now that it's blink, yeah. Super
blink, even lighter. But if you control transform with a transformation of an image, whatever that transformation might be with an SE map, it's not only it's cleaner, it's also lighter as well. So that's one of the other advantages. There's someone saying blink script is a game changer in Nuke. Love it. Also love your chromatic blink, Chris. Fun results with it. So people know you.
See what you've done. I love seeing stuff people make.
Yeah.
I think as well people have a really positive response to, of all the stuff I've made, the two that have had the best response have been the rainbow stuff with Spectralize and Chromatic Blink, and I made a like procedural lens flare system for like an anamorphic look for my final year project, and people really like that because anamorphic flares look great.
Yeah,
and that was sort of based off the Lego Batman stuff that I think Tom Fiction were doing. I think.
Who's that?
Was that Logic?
No, Animal Logic.
Yeah.
Animal Logic. They develop a lot of cool things for that project. A lot of good and different things at that time. So because we were talking about that tool, and it seems like we're hammering that tool over and over again. But you've been playing with the time blur node to achieve these things. Do you want to talk about, because it's such an overlooked kind of node, nobody pays attention to it, me included, I'll be honest.
It's not basically something I'm really jealous of Houdini uses for is they can have a for loop in their node graph. And time blur is pretty much the closest I feel like we as compids can get to that, where you can set up some parameters, and then if you do a modulus expression of like frame %1, you can get a gradient between two frames that will go to like 0 to 1 and then back to 0 again over the course of one frame. So you can give that any change, be it like translation, color change, whatever, plug a time blur under it, and then like a node time blur at the top if you're worried about affecting too much of your node graph. And yeah, the kind of stuff you can do is awesome. Like I've heard about people who have had a card oscillate once every single frame, plug a time blur in with some noise on the card to generate 3D clouds. And it's like the kind of stuff that you can do if you kind of think about it in a really abstract way. Freaking awesome.
Yeah, I think you should do one of these days. Maybe people I think would appreciate that. Like one of your videos just about that.
Yeah,
because
I
again,
I made something else with it's like an exponential blur where it's two blurs that blur out exponentially, and then the time blur will average the two of them as they scale over time. And it's instead of doing stacking loads of blurs to get an exponential blur. It's just the two of them, and then there's like a dissolve thing. I wrote about that on my website.
Yeah. Check Chris' website, and I believe you have also some examples that people can download and explore by themselves, right? Yeah. So yeah, make sure you do that, because I think you're gonna enjoy it. But as a suggestion, maybe a video about just the time blur, because again, it's such an overlooked kind of node. Nobody uses it, honestly. Let's be honest. Very rarely we see people using it. Well, first of all, because it can be very CPU consuming, can be very expensive. Now with Blink Script, it's a different story. But you have to understand it first, what it does and what's the benefits before you progress to something like Blink Script. So this is my suggestion for you, and then we'll see what people will have to say about that. By the way, people, if you have questions for Chris, please keep them coming, and then we're gonna try to ask as many questions as we can during this hour. By the way, so you're saying that you're currently working on a jellyfish, doing feature animation. You just mentioned Lego. You're doing feature animation, which can be very different from film or TV, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about the experience?
Yeah.
To the extent of what you can share, of course.
Feature versus what do you call it? Yeah, feature versus film. It's really interesting because with film, it's a much more match something perfectly processed, whereas the whole image is kind of your Play-Doh when it comes to feature, where on the comp team we have like an insane amount of control to get the position passes, normals, do whatever we want to make it look pretty. Yeah, and it's been really cool actually, just in general, because I've ended up, thanks to having a sort of handle on the tech side of thing, had some really cool creative stuff. Like I've got a shot at the moment which is like the look dev for the sequence, which I was assigned because it was a more technical thing, and it was really rewarding to get a really creative task when I'm generally known for the more technical side of things. But yeah,
one thing can help the other.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I always say, because we've been talking about Python and all that stuff, and some people that don't know Python yet and want to get into that, again, great thing. You should do that definitely. But let's not forget that knowing Python or any other language doesn't allow you to, or will not make you directly to make better pictures. It will help you to be a more complete artist. It will help you to think about things differently, and it will help you in your career because of that. But it will not make a picture more beautiful just because you know Python. Pictures that don't care about that at all. It's not about your perception. Say again?
I had a guitar teacher that gave me some really good advice that's kind of transferred over, where he was talking about like music theory and said the reason it's important is because it's one thing to push the accelerator on a car, it's another thing to know how the engine works. And I think with Nuke, it's the same thing.
Nice analogy, yes.
Yeah, right? I always feel uncomfortable when I download a gizmo and I don't understand what's happening on the inside, because if something goes wrong with it, I'm not going to be able to like go in there and do node surgery to fix it.
And that's the reason, and I already said this here as well, that's the reason why I don't use plugins of any sort apart from one or two, because if I don't understand it, might as well write my own, and then I'll know when it breaks, how it breaks, why it breaks, and how to fix it. If you're just relying on something that is from somebody else's and things break, or you want to do something slightly different and you don't know how, you're stuck. So never a good thing.
The tool works to how you operate. Like I've like built my own grade node that works the way I like to work, where all in one little box I've got my it handles like AOVs, saturation, whether you want to do it in log or not, and it will like match your white point and your gain depending on what you're color picking and stuff. Build your own tools, everyone.
Important to refer that sometimes simple things like what Chris just mentioned now, like a great node that works in the way that for you makes sense as an artist. Let's not forget, and this is just a tip for everyone who's starting out, in the industry. Some of these tools might not be allowed in your company that you're working for. There's many reasons for it. There's, can break the pipeline for some reason. Cannot be one of the reasons. And as a supervisor, the thing that comes to my mind immediately is, yes, this can work for you and it can be great. But if you need to pass your script to anybody else and they don't know how to work it out, this can be a problem. So don't be disencouraged by developing whatever. I'm just saying for people who are not as experienced that this might happen. But it's something for yourself. Keep it to yourself. You're practicing, and we all work in different companies at some point, so you can bring your own tools, and in some companies it might be allowed. But the best thing is you're gonna keep practicing your knowledge, and Python is one of those things. If you don't practice, you're gonna forget really quickly. So yeah, Jellyfish actually is cool because, and I told you this, and I also mentioned this on the interview that I did with for Ben. Actually, that's the place where I started my career, Jellyfish, a long time ago. They were very different at that time. They were very small. They now, since then, they grew exponentially, really. So give my best to Luke and Phil and Nicholas, if you ever speak with them. Nicholas Hernandez. Nicholas just started out there kind of recently. I worked with him at Milk for a number of years, so he's now VFX Soup at Jellyfish. So give my best to all of those guys. And how are you coping, by the way, with the pandemic thing? Since you're definitely not in the Jellyfish's office, as we can say.
Yeah, no, it's been alright. I have ended up going to spend a lot more time with my family, actually, because I've decided to stay here with them for a bit. Yeah, I mean, all in all, it's been pretty good. I was really, really lucky that when DNEG started reducing numbers a little bit, Jellyfish happened to give me an offer the same day, so I didn't have too much downtime or anything like that. And then Jellyfish, yeah, they've had remote figured out before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It seems like they did. Yeah.
Yeah, it works. It's like when I open my own nuke, it's the exact same experience. So yeah, it's been really positive.
Cool. Do you have also some problems with compression and all that stuff?
Genuinely, no. I was absolutely staggered at how good the setup was, because I know previously sort of grain matching and stuff with the compression of Teradici was challenging, but no, it's been good. I have wondered if that's because, due to the nature of feature animation, it's not as granular, the image. It's a lot more broad colors, maybe, but I don't know.
Well, if it's working, it's working. That's, you know what I mean? Who cares the rest?
Yeah. And I'm not just saying that because I pay my rent. Genuinely is very good.
That helps as well. Yeah. No, but I know that you're being honest, and there's no reason not to be honest, of course. Cool. All right, man. Great to know that. You're back. Well, you never left the game, really, because you took. I was about to say it's good to know that you're back in the game, but you never left the game. I didn't have any downtime, so which is rare these days. So I applaud you for that. Well done, you. And let's see if people have some questions for you before we go to the next segment. There's one question, I believe, which is: I'm facing a problem every time when using a 2D Z-depth node. Can you please explain me how you guys use it?
I don't know if I can solve that problem specifically, but I can say if you go to chrisferrer.co.uk, there's a cat's eye defocus gizmo that uses a time blur as its core feature, so you can wrap all that together. So give that a look if you like.
I mean, this is a very generic question. So I mean, there's loads of if there's no lack of videos explaining this thing in the internet. So better than me or Chris mentioning exactly what your question, since this is so generic. Just edge problem, basically. I know what you're saying. Okay.
Everything.
Well, if you don't have, I know what you're saying. So I'll try to answer in a condensed way. So if you don't have a background and you have like just the foreground, that means that you're going to have like a huge jump between the values of your depth of your foreground, whether it's a carat or whatever, to something that is going to be an infinite you know, number. So this will give you some problems in the edges. A way to overcome this is to convert, and of course this is super technical at the moment for me to explain to you. You can convert deep data to z-depth data as well to overcome that problem, because with deep you don't have that problem. Or you can grow the edges of your z-depth on the problems that on the part that you're having the problems. Another way is to sample the lowest value of the furthest away value of your z-depth, put a constant in, and then you merge one over the other, and then you're not gonna have this transition to be so abrupt. Hope this makes sense. This is
or just do what Hugo said and use PG bokeh.
What's that? Sorry.
Or just do what Hugo said and use PG bokeh if you can get a license. Solve all your problems.
Yeah. Hugo's here. How you doing, Hugo?
Cool. He was in December. Do you know Funny Fail Stories? The like VFX comedy night.
What's that?
Do you know Funny Fail Stories? It's
no.
visual effects comedy night.
No.
Hugo was there in December when I ended up on stage at one of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
With Hugo?
No, Hugo wasn't on stage, but he was there. But
okay.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing about the industry. Like, you go out one night and then at the end you're improvising a comedy set on stage. It was, yeah, all sorts of. I love all the social events in.
Yeah, cool. All right. So deep renders, as Hugo is also saying, can solve your problem. I personally, and Hugo is mentioning also PJ bokeh to fix the edges. I personally avoid PJ bokeh like the plague. I always avoid that because it's super slow. I much rather prefer to convert deep data to normal Z-depth data. And solve all the problems in that way with the normal Z defocus node. But there's many different options, and you use what's best for you, basically. Cool. So it's what's time now, right?
There we go.
You know what's coming, right?
Yeah.
You ready for it?
Ready as I'll ever be. Absolutely.
Okay. Cool. Let's do it. Let's do the node fight with Chris right now. Okay. It's counting, all right? Yeah. Let me try to get all my lists in here because I have a big list. I have to add some more actually. All right, let's start with one that I just presented on the tech challenge actually, which is the Despiller.
Despiller.
Favorite Despiller.
I use key light and then a key correct for the extra stuff, and then I do like a subtract to get the luminance back, pretty much.
Cool. All right. Nice one. Hazing.
Hazing? You mean like depth haze?
Yep.
Get your ZZ, and then generally I will multiply that with either a constant or something a bit more interesting, and then like do an over, not a plus, because haze is actual like particulate in front of an object, not increasing the brightness. Cool. Or key mix. Yeah.
All right. Refraction.
Refraction, some cool ST map stuff. I've used Chromatic link for this actually, and get some of those nice little color fringing. Yeah, distort an ST map.
Cool. I'm gonna do, I think, one that I think is the first time that I'm saying this one here. It's a simple one. Well, we'll see. Moving sky, a static sky, making it move.
Get a ramp, put it in your x-axis on an I distort and animate that across so that the closer clouds move more than the dark clouds.
All right, there's an actually very good technique also with displacement. Can get you very, very good results. We'll see. I might do a tech corner one of these days regarding that. Lightning bolts.
X-Tesla, definitely.
Which one, sorry? X-Tesla, yeah. All right. Cool. Let's do one more.
Sure thing.
All right. I'm trying to pick a good one. Okay, fake subsurface.
Oh, I actually made a submission for your challenge for this, and then didn't
Receive it.
I know, I didn't submit it. It slipped my mind. I made something that took the position and normals of the object, and it used the position of an axis to then sort of calculate the angle that light would be coming out, and then multiplied that all together to produce an output. Basically, that might sound really abstract saying it out loud, but if it's plate stuff, use like the glancing angle and try and blur whatever's behind it, maybe to put it through.
Cool.
Made it.
That was easy, right?
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
That was horrible. Yeah.
By the way, you can always put that submission, even though, of course, that tech corner or tech challenge is over. It's been maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Take the node graph up and
but
whatever.
If you have it, because again, it's all about sharing the information. So some people might actually find it interesting.
For that was a good challenge.
Yeah, people liked it. Yeah, hopefully we're gonna have more submissions on this one. So this is the tech challenge this week is all about the spill, a different way of thinking about the spill. Again, no plugins, nothing like that. It's all of you can make this work. All right, all of you will have the knowledge. Well, might not be able to make this work, but what I'm saying is all of you have the base knowledge to make it work. So there's no fancy stuff going on. So I believe that's it, man. It was a great way catching up with you.
Yeah, really good. In front of a bunch of people in a live chat.
Come on, you're not nervous,
were
you?
I actually really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure. I was really excited to come on, and my excitement was just.
Cool. All right. Yeah, pleasure to have you. As I said, you were on the list. You are on the list on this big list that I have. So it happened sooner than I was anticipating, and it's a good thing. So you're welcome, and it was always a good thing, guys. If you have any final questions for our guest Chris, this is the time. Otherwise, you're gonna have to text him directly. I believe. By the way,
anyone can reach out to me. I have an open door policy.
You are on the Discord channel, right?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can interact with Chris over there, for example. And yeah. So everyone is thanking you. So thank you, everyone. As I said previously, I hopefully will have. I just finished an article about color science very recently. We'll see when I'll make that available to all of you, and I will have other news fairly soon. I believe something very special, but we'll see when that happens. But independently of that happens or not, you should always pay attention to what we're living, in the sense that this is an opportunity for you to do something with this time that is so unprecedented. So it's always a good thing. It's very easy for us to be on the downside of things, like, oh man, why this is happening, all that stuff, which is horrible. But this is also an opportunity, and we just spoke with Chris, that took the time while he was working and studying to keep pushing the knowledge and sharing with the community, which is great to see. And it's not that common that people share so many things with the community. So thank you once again, Chris. Hopefully we're going to see each other in person next time, whenever that might be. That would be good. So thank you, everyone. See you in probably a week. Hopefully we will gonna have enough submissions and good submissions, so we can have the winner of our tech challenge be here with me next week or in the next few weeks. Until then, take care and be safe. Bye bye, everyone. See you, Chris. Stay on, because we're gonna have a.
Oh, would it?
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Bye bye. See you guys.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
Bye.